Please subscribe this channel and click the bell icon. How one can reduce weight. Prime 18 weight loss suggestions. Are you capable? Here we go. On the high of the list, essential, and go down as far as you need. Click on any tip to learn all about it. Possibly you simplest need the primary piece of advice. Opt for a low-carb food plan. Eat when hungry. Consume actual meals. Consume only when hungry. Measure your growth wisely. Be persistent. Preclude fruit. Preclude beer. Prevent artificial sweeteners. Review any drugs. Stress less. Sleep extra. Consume less of dairy, merchandise and nuts. Complement vitamins and minerals. Use intermittent fasting. Pastime wisely. Reap most useful. Ketosis. Get your hormones checked. Bear in mind weight loss drugs, if determined. 1. Decide upon a low-carb diet if you want to drop some weight. Don't forget opening by using heading off sugar and starch, like bread, pasta and potatoes. This is an historic concept. For 150 years or extra there have been a massive quantity of weight loss diets headquartered on eating fewer carbs. What's new is that dozens of state-of-the-art scientific reports have established that, yes, on ordinary low-carb will also be essentially the most robust strategy to shed pounds. 3. Definitely, it's nonetheless viable to drop extra pounds on any food regimen. Simply eat fewer calories than you burn. Proper. The difficulty with this simplistic advice is that it ignores the elephant within the room, hunger. Most people don't prefer to simply eat much less, as it may outcome in having to go hungry ceaselessly. Eventually, an ordinary individual will seemingly give up and consume, hence the prevalence of yo-yo healthy eating plan. 4. The most important capabilities of the low-carb food plan is that it should intend you to wish to devour much less. Even without counting energy, obese individuals are inclined to consume fewer energy on low-carb. 5. Sugar and starch may develop your starvation, while averting them may just cut down your appetite to an extra sufficient degree. 6. In case your physique wants to have an appropriate quantity of energy, you don't need to bother counting them. As a result, calories depend, but you don't must depend them. 6. A 2012 B Trained additionally showed that men and women who had lost weight experienced some distance less discount in total power expenditure, the quantity of energy burned inside a 24-hour period, after they followed a low-carb weight loss program compared to a low-fat weight reduction plan throughout weight renovation, a 300-calorie difference, actually. 7. In line with probably the most Harvard professors at the back of the study, this talents would equal the number of calories customarily burned in an hour of moderate depth bodily exercise. Suppose that, and whole bonus hour of undertaking daily, without simply exercising. 8. Just lately, a fair greater and more cautiously performed B Trained proven this metabolism-sparing influence, with unique corporations of men and women who had lost weight burning a normal of between 200 and almost 500 further calories per day on a low-carb maintenance eating regimen compared to excessive carb or moderate carb diet. 2. Eat when hungry. Don't be hungry. Probably the most long-established mistake when starting a low-carb food plan, decreasing carb intake while nonetheless being petrified of fat. Carbs and fat are the physique's two predominant vigor sources, and it needs at least one in all of them. Low carb and low fats equals starvation. Averting each carbs and fat can affect in starvation, cravings and fatigue. Sooner or later many humans can't stand it and quit. The solution will also be to eat extra usual fat except you suppose satisfied. For example, butter, full fats, cream, olive oil, meat, including the fats, fatty fish, Sir Francis Bacon, eggs, coconut oil, etc. Prime 10 approaches to consume more fat. Always devour enough, so that you simply suppose convinced, mainly within the commencing of the weight loss approach. Doing this on a low-carb weight loss program means that the fat you devour will probably be burned as gasoline by your body, as your phases of the fat-storing hormone insulin can be reduced. You'll end up a fats-burning laptop. You'll lose excess weight without hunger. Do you still fear saturated fats? You may also wish to reconsider that. The fear of saturated fat is headquartered on theories that latest reviews endorse are inaccurate and flawed. Butter is a great meals. Nevertheless, suppose free to consume mostly unsaturated fats, e.g. olive oil, avocado, fatty fish, if you choose. This would be known as a Mediterranean low-carb weight loss plan and works satisfactory too. Consuming when hungry also implies something else. Should you're not hungry, you quite often don't have got to eat, but when on a keto food plan you can believe your feelings of starvation and satiety again. Believe free to eat as commonly per day that works best for you. Some folks consume 3 times a day and occasionally snack in between. Note that frequent snacking would imply that you just did advantage from including fat to your foods, to expand satiety. Nonetheless, there's some evidence that accepted snacking isn't intelligent when looking to lose weight. 14. Some people handiest eat a couple of times a day and on no account snack. Something works for you. Just devour when you're hungry. 03. Devour actual food. An extra normal mistake when eating a low-carb weight loss program is getting fooled by way of the inventive advertising and marketing of specified low-carb merchandise. Recollect, an robust low-carb eating regimen for weight reduction must be founded on real food. Actual food is what people had been eating for 1000s or doubtless, even better, millions of years, e.g. meat, fish, veggies, eggs, butter, olive oil, nuts and so on. If you wish to shed some pounds, restrict specified, low-carb products which can be full of carbs. This must be apparent, but creative entrepreneurs are doing all they may be able to fool you and get your cash. They'll tell you that you can devour cookies, pasta, ice cream, bread and plenty of chocolate on a low-carb weight loss plan, as long as you purchase their manufacturer. They're regularly filled with carbohydrates. Don't be fooled. How about low-carb bread? Watch out, if it's baked with grains it's most likely now not low-carb. However, some firms still try to promote it to you as a low-carb alternative. Low-carb chocolate is most commonly filled with sugar alcohols, which the brand does not depend as carbs. However, roughly half of those carbs is also absorbed, raising blood sugar and insulin. Listed here are 3 examples of what to avoid: Atkins Fairy Tale Cookies, Julian Bakery's high-carb, low-carb bread, the Dreamfields pasta fraud that subsequently resulted in an $8 million excellent. These 3 firms usually are not specific. There are thousands of identical corporations who may be seeking to trick you into buying their low-carb merchandise that more commonly includes starch, sugar alcohols, wheat flour, sweeteners and different components. 2 simple principles to prevent this: don't eat low-carb types of high-carb stuff, like cookies, bars, chocolate, bread, pasta or ice cream, until you might be certain of the materials, ideally, by making it yourself. Avoid merchandise with the words web carbs on them. That may be an approach to deceive you. Focus on eating good, best, minimally processed real meals. Ideally, the meals you purchase shouldn't actually have a list of materials, or it should be very short. Your doctor can without problems arrange for you to take a blood scan to measure the awareness of thyroid-stimulating hormone, TSH. If the test comes back and everything looks excellent, your thyroid gland is typically best. For a more special analysis, that you can ask them to measure the specific stages of thyroid hormones in the blood, T3 and T4, as regularly these are low even if the TSH is inside the really broad common range, 0.78. 2 approaches to prevent becoming poor in thyroid hormone. Be certain you eat enough iodine, which is a constructing block of thyroid hormone. Good sources are fish, shellfish, sea greens, seaweed, and iodized salt or iodized sea salt. Very low stages of thyroid hormone normally point out an autoimmune reaction to the thyroid gland itself. This means you'll need to take thyroid hormone supplements orally, more commonly the steady-form T4, Levaxin, which your surgeon can prescribe for you. Your body will become this into the active T3 hormone when imperative. The complement dose should be adjusted so that you just attain natural hormone stages, TSH, T3, T4, and sufficiently alleviate signs, although a couple of men and women may believe satisfactory when maintaining TSH relatively under usual. Some humans think better supplementing the already active T3, repeatedly prepared from pig thyroid glands, because it can provide a stronger influence than the T4 hormone. However, its outcomes is frequently harder to manipulate. 79 Most wellness authorities not often prescribe or present such T3 cure, as it appears to lack huge advantages and may pose a danger when doses are high for an increased interval of time. However, T3 substitute is popular amongst some realistic medication practitioners and naturopathic doctors. Regardless, the bottom line is making definite you comply with your levels and signs to be certain you aren't over or under exchanging thyroid hormones. So that you've followed the previous hints, carried out important cultural alterations and based that neither medicine nor diet deficiency is in predicament. You've even tried being in top of the line ketosis for even as making sure low insulin levels. And you continue to can't hit the average weight mark. If this is applicable to you, it could be time to recall the likelihood that hormonal imbalances are the intent of your troubles. There are 3 customary crisis areas: thyroid hormone, intercourse hormones, stress hormones. Thyroid hormones in men and women, most in general females, can undergo diminished metabolism for that reason of thyroid hormone deficiency, hypothyroidism. Original symptoms are Fatigue, cold intolerance, constipation, dry epidermis. Weight gain in these cases, weight obtained due to decreased metabolism, typically does not exceed 15 pounds. 77. Your physician can quite simply organize so that you can take a blood test to measure the concentration of thyroid-stimulating hormone, TSH. If the test comes again and the whole thing looks just right, your thyroid gland is probably excellent. For extra targeted prognosis, which you could ask them to measure the precise phases of thyroid hormones within the blood, T3 and T4, as generally these are low even though the TSH is inside the rather large normal range, 78. 2 methods to avoid fitting poor in thyroid hormone. Ensure you eat enough iodine, which is a building block of thyroid hormone. Good sources of fish, shellfish, sea greens, seaweed, and iodized salt, or iodized sea salt. Very low stages of thyroid hormone almost always point out an autoimmune reaction to the thyroid gland itself. This implies you must take thyroid hormone supplements orally, mostly the stable kind T4, Levaxin, which your healthcare provider can prescribe for you. Your physique will grow to be this into the energetic T3 hormone when crucial. The complement dose will have to be adjusted so that you just attain typical hormone levels, TSH, T3, T4, and sufficiently alleviate symptoms, though a couple of humans may suppose first class when retaining TSH quite beneath traditional. Some men and women consider better supplementing the already active T3, often prepared from pig thyroid glands, as it can give a far better outcomes than the T4 hormone, but its outcomes is mainly more difficult to manage. 79 Most health experts hardly ever prescribe or present such T3 remedy, as it seems to lack huge advantages and may pose a threat when doses are excessive for a multiplied interval of time. However, T3 alternative is fashionable amongst some sensible medicine practitioners and naturopathic doctors. Regardless, the key is making certain you follow your stages and signs to ensure you aren't over or underneath changing thyroid hormones. It feels like a dream. Maintain dwelling such as you already do, take an everyday capsule, and with no trouble lose your excess weight. For this reason weight loss pills are 1 billion greenback enterprise. So do they work? Sure, relatively. But they're now not very effective. There are a lot of medicines that outcomes in a modest weight loss, just a few kilos on traditional, ordinarily on the expense of massive facet effects.